Personal sketch from the completion, leaving the world behind revised. Act 1. Of course, I go at it to take care of problems one at a time. You need to believe I'm serious, taking the smooth road and avoiding the rugged climb. Of course, you may never know what's on the road that is smooth, since it is the road that the majority choose. Of course, I don't know the difference between the rugged and smooth climb. Since my focal point is on God, He'll help create for me one of the smoothest rides. Of course, He is the shepherd, and in Him I put my trust. I must see to it that it stays that way until my last day, where into heaven I will be thrust. Of course, many people say that death is inevitable and sometimes comes too soon. I really believe that if you're going to heaven when you die, it is as if you took a snooze for a few. Of course, where you would wake up will not leave you shook up. It will leave you glad that you woke up, since God erased all debts in your life from the offering that God took up. Of course, many are lacking and are blind to the fact that everyone should give each other common courtesy as respect, if you will, to keep all plans intact. Of course, with God, there is no way that you can fake it. Prayer is the key to everlasting life, and I hope that you make it. Of course, if you really look at it, you'll see that the road to heaven was not really that long. It's not really that bad at all. So try to be strong. Of course, there's nothing too crazy that hasn't been tested and approved by Jesus Himself. So to those who want salvation, I hope you pass all obstacles and tests real soon. Part 2. As the space closes for the fortified stay, the life sentence has been canceled to get us well on our way. That's a judgment and ruling that will never change. But if one is persistent enough, then the decision must change. God is a power who exists to protect and serve all. That's why we must watch and wait for when God gives the call. In the meantime, I believe that my sinful lifestyle was no fun while it lasted. Nothing ever would relieve me of my pain. I had to wrap it up in plastic bottles that were thrown out into the sea. As I live and learn from my pain, which helps me to see that there is no problem that God cannot fix. All He has to do is speak it into being. And yes, I hope for that lifelong wish. That may be a world would see the miracle in me that God sought, and that I learned to walk the line of faith from all that God had taught. Part 3. I'm not built from the ground up and not the other way around. I'm surviving by the seed from the plan of God, which is sound. Even if I bend, I surely will not break. God stands right by His seeds to make sure that His children are never blown away. The gardener and even the keeper of the vineyard judge things fairly and appropriate, to not scar the hired hands in a life that's hard. Since when would a king or queen leave their guard down? Do you know that only a snake would try to convince a child of God to let his or her guard down? So what must I do now? I guess the enemy must be kicked off my porch to let him know that there is no use of him even knocking at my door. All the knowledge in the world is waiting there at God's disposal. There is no need for a resume or even a proposal. God is the king, so he knows how to handle every situation. So if you need to ask for something needed, your troubles are what he will be replacing. Personal sketch, Act 1 from the completion, Leaving the World Behind, revised. Wow, there's no way I was going to be able to do that.
Hey, sweet.